Hi, I'm Dave Vickers and welcome to the Photo Show. Photography is basically about controlling light to record an image on the digital sensor of your camera. There are three elements involved in this, and one of the best ways to learn it is what's called the exposure triangle. If you imagine a triangle, and at each point you have your ISO, your shutter speed and your aperture. Now we're going to look at each of these in more detail, starting off with your shutter speed. Now shutter speed is normally measured in fractions of a second. Typical values are 1/60th of a second, 125th of a second, 1/250th of a second. And the way this works is, in your camera, between the lens and the digital sensor is what's called your shutter curtain. It's actually made up of two pieces, shutter curtain 1 and shutter curtain 2. And these are normally closed shut, stopping light from reaching the sensor and recording any information. When you push a shutter button, shutter curtain 1 will open, followed by shutter curtain 2 closing in behind to block off the light and stop the image recording. That gap between shutter curtain 1 opening and shutter curtain 2 closing is your shutter speed. So for example, if your camera is set on 1/60th of a second, when you push a shutter, shutter curtain 1 will open, followed 1/60th of a second later by shutter curtain 2 following in behind to block off the light and stop the image recording. Let's have a look at the shutter in a real camera and hopefully that'll explain it in more detail. Okay, what I've done here is I've opened up the back of an old film camera. You can't see this on a digital camera because you've got your screen, the electronics and all that in between. Now what we're looking at is this part here. This is your shutter curtain. If I advance the camera on, you can see there's shutter curtain 1 and there's shutter curtain 2 following on behind. And when I fire the shutter, shutter curtain 1 opens, followed by shutter curtain 2 coming in behind. That was at a 60th of a second, that's a bit quick, so let's slow the camera right down. Slowing it down to half a second. Let's advance it on. There's shutter curtain 1, followed by shutter curtain 2. Let's fire the shutter. There, curtain 1 opens, followed by curtain 2 close behind. So let's do that one more time. Shutter curtain 1, shutter curtain 2. As you fire the shutter, shutter 1 opens, followed by shutter curtain 2. And that is how the shutter works in the camera. So now we've seen how the shutter works in a real camera, why would you bother changing your shutter speed at all? Why not just leave it at the fastest shutter speed and be done with it? Well, there are two reasons really. There's a practical reason and an artistic reason. The practical reason is it gives you control over how much light reaches the sensor to record an image. If you're outside in bright sunlight, it's going to take less light to record the image onto the sensor. Therefore, a fast shutter speed opens and closes quickly and only allows a small amount of light to reach the sensor. If you're in low light, it's going to take more light to record an image onto the sensor. So therefore, a slower exposure is open for a longer period of time, allowing more light to reach the sensor to record the image. The artistic reason is a fast shutter speed is recording for a very short period of time and therefore will freeze the action in an image like this. Whereas a slow shutter speed is open for a much longer period of time and will record movement within the frame. In the car trails picture here, as the shutter is open for a long period of time, the cars travelling through the frame are leaving the light trails behind because of the length of time that the shutter is open and recording. Hopefully that's explained shutter speed to you. I'm Dave Vickers, thanks for watching, see you next time.